All right, we here. Episode 1 of Noel's podcast. What's going on, everybody? I'm the host, Noel Tesfa. And before we start, I just want to say I appreciate everyone who's tuning in right now, no matter where you are in the world or how you're listening to this. Trust me, the support, it means a lot. Um, Now, I'm not going to give you guys like a 10-minute introduction on what this podcast is about. All you need to know is that we talk a lot of sports, a lot of hoops. So, NBA, WNBA, college. When the NFL season starts, we're going to talk a lot of football. World Cup this summer. So, we'll definitely do a few things on that. Um, but as a disclaimer to all my soccer people, I am a casual fan. Okay? Casual. So, if any of my soccer takes or opinions drive you crazy, and you're like, yo, what is dude talking about? Just chill on me, okay? I gave you the warning. I told you, casual. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're hearing me talk about soccer. But besides all that, besides sports, we'll cover a few cultural topics here and there, whether that be in the form of movies, TV shows, music. We might even discuss a few podcasts I like or listen to. We'll see. It depends how I'm feeling, but yeah, we'll definitely cover those. And yeah, that's the gist of it. So now that the introductory part is out of the way, let's talk about what today's episode is all about. Actually, before I do that, if you guys like the episode, if you enjoy the podcast, do your boy a solid. Like, comment, subscribe, share, retweet, repost, follow the podcast account on all social media platforms. Just interact in any way. It would mean a lot. Like I said, any form of support, greatly appreciated. All right, now let's get into today's episode, which is all about my reactions or overreactions, depending on how you look at it, to the first weekend of the 2026 NBA playoffs. It was a busy weekend, 4 games Saturday, 4 games Sunday. I did not leave my couch, felt lazy as hell, but that's what happens on Baller's Life. So, nah, that was corny. That was bad corny. But yeah, you just got to do what you got to do. The games were decent for the most part. Uh, Not a crazy weekend, but still got a lot of thoughts that I would love to share with you guys. And the game we have to start with was or is the final game of the weekend, which was between the Portland Trailblazers and the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs come out with the victory. Final score for this one, 111-98. And yes, this was a decent game for sure. Pretty good basketball. But the main reason we have to start with this game is because it was the NBA playoff debut of the next legendary superstar. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, it is the one and only Scoot Henderson. Okay, let me chill. Even though Scoot did play well, this game in history is going to be remembered as the first in what looks like it's going to be a top 10, top 5 career all time. And of course, we're talking about Victor Wembanyama. Now, my initial thoughts after I finished watching this game was, good Lord, have mercy on the rest of the NBA. I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic. I'll just give you guys Wemby's final stat line for this game. Finished with 35 points, which, by the way, is a new Spurs franchise record for most points in a playoff debut, breaking Tim Duncan's previous record of 32 points. So he did that, grabbed 5 rebounds, nothing crazy, 2 blocks, went 5 of 6 from 3. So this guy had a great game. Couple of plays where you're like, all right, this is the only dude that can do that in the NBA. But the reason I say Lord have mercy is because I watched a lot of Spurs games this year. I watched a lot of Wembanyama. And off the top of my head, I can think of 10 games that he played just this year where he was better than how he played on Sunday night. And he played great. And that tells you all you need to know. This guy, I don't know. I don't know how to put it in words. What he does offensively, defensively. This game, he only had 2 blocks and 4 turnovers, I think, 0 steals. So he had more turnovers than he did steals and blocks combined, which is not typical for him. This is why I say he could have had a better game, because an elite Victor Wembanyama game is doing what he did on offense, but grabbing 14 rebounds, 15 rebounds. But he's also impacting the game defensively just as much or even more than he is offensively. And he was good on defense in this game, but I've seen way better defensive games that he played. So that's why it's like, whoa. He still scored 35. He still dominated for the most part, but it could get to an even higher level. And that's why it's scary for the rest of the NBA. Because if this is like the floor, the baseline, and it only goes up from here, it's over for everybody. Because what can you do? The guy is 7'6". He doesn't need to jump to dunk the ball. Like, he moves like a guard. He can shoot. He shot 5 of 6 from 3. Like, I don't know. We're running out of words to describe how unreal of a basketball player this guy Victor Wembanyama is. And for his first playoff game to look like that, like I said, Lord have mercy. And the rest of his team is nice. I mean, Stephon Castle, it was his first playoff game, dropped 17. Devin Vassell was big in the third quarter for them, hit a few threes to stop the Blazers' momentum. De'Aaron Fox is a steady force, a guy who's been in playoff series before. So this Spurs team, all I'm going to say to the rest of the NBA, do not let them win the championship this year. I don't have them winning. I picked OKC to make the finals and win the whole thing. But if San Antonio somehow gets to the finals and wins the championship in Victor Wembanyama's first playoff run, we have a major problem. So that was my biggest takeaway from this game. On the Portland side, Portland played well. Respect to them. Denny Avdia, his first playoff game, he scored 30. I know I mentioned Scoot earlier, but he did have a good game. Knocked down a few threes. Was decent on defense. Got some steals, some fast breaks. But at the end of the day, this is a mismatch for them. They just don't have the talent that the Spurs do. They don't have Victor Wembanyama, quite frankly. So this should be a quick series for them. No shame in losing in 4 or 5. The fact that they even made the playoffs is a pretty good accomplishment. Denny might make third team All NBA. So this was, I would say, is a successful season for Portland, but they're running into an alien and the rest of the Spurs team. So yeah, this should go 4, maybe 5 if they can win a game at home. But yeah, this is not going to be known as the Portland series. This is the series where Victor Wembanyama arrived in the playoff world. All right, now let's get to the second series that I want to talk about. And this one, I kind of just want to get out of the way. Um, if I sound too passionate or maybe I'm being too dramatic, forgive me. It's just that I have a vested interest in this particular series. And the reason for that, oh, let me say, the series that I'm talking about is the Houston Rockets versus the LA Lakers. They played Saturday night. Um, Lakers won that game 107-98. And let me tell you why I have a vested interest in this series in particular for two reasons. For one, if you know me, you know Kevin Durant is my favorite basketball player. He's been my favorite player since 2011, 2012. So a decade and a half, this guy's been my favorite player. Whatever team he's on, I root for. I don't have a favorite team. I just root for wherever KD's playing. Yes, that includes when he went to Golden State. I don't want to hear it. But yeah. So wherever he's at, that's where I'm at. And last summer, he got traded from Phoenix to Houston. I was excited for that. Ime Udoka is one of my favorite coaches. I from the time he was in Boston, not the off-court stuff, but what he did for that team on the court. I just thought he was one of the best coaches in the league, so I was happy KD got to go back to him. I think he was an assistant coach when KD was in Brooklyn. I like the young core of the team, Şengün, Thompson. So yeah, I became a Rockets fan this year. And what I'll say about that is no man, no woman, no person should ever subject themselves to that level of stress. I think I aged myself about 10 years just because I rooted for this team. Like, I'm talking about blown fourth quarter leads. They lost twice to Sacramento this year. I don't, let me chill. They lost twice to Sacramento this year. They lost to the Pelicans after having a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. They had the biggest blown lead in NBA history in overtime just a few weeks ago against the Timberwolves. So this team is stressful to watch, to say the least. However, I thought things would be a bit different in the Lakers series. The biggest reason why, the Lakers are missing their top two scorers. Luka Doncic, leading scorer in the league, one of the best players in the league, out. Austin Reeves having a great year, averaging 25 a game, out. So now all that's left for the Lakers is 41-year-old LeBron James, who is still good, and DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard. Like, if you guys, a lot of you probably don't even know the names I'm saying. So the Rockets should definitely win this series. Even though they're the 5 seed, the Lakers are the 4 seed, they should definitely win this series considering the fact that Luka and Austin Reeves are out. Then I'm watching, who was it? I think it was New York versus Atlanta right before the Rockets game. And I hear Stan Van Gundy on the call say, Kevin Durant is going to be out for tonight's game 1. So I'm like, shit, okay, fine. Even though KD's out, this Rockets team should still be good enough to beat this Lakers team just off talent alone. Why did I think that? God knows. But the game happened, and this is what I'm going to say about that game. I watched that in pure disgust as a Rockets fan. Disgust, disappointment, like every adjective that you could think of. The sloppy offense, the terrible defense, just looked like they didn't even want to be out there. The no communication, lack of adjustments. Yo, to the Houston Rockets players, y'all boys let Luke Kennard score 27 points and look like prime Klay Thompson? Are you shitting me? Like, are we being for real? Luke Kennard, and Luke Kennard's a decent NBA player. I think he led the league in 3-point shooting this year, averaging 48% from three, which is great. Damn near 50%. In this game, Luke Kennard shot 100% from three. 100? Yo, you let LeBron James, who is 3,000 years old, respectfully, his son is on the team. Y'all let him get the most assists he's ever had in a quarter? What? Yo, I have to know, what the conversations are like in the Houston locker room, bro. And I'm saying this as a fan. I actually like the team. The frustration comes from, yo, these guys are mad talented. Şengün, yo, you're nice, bro. You average 20 and 10. Amen Thompson, one of the best athletes in the whole NBA, one of the best defenders in the whole NBA. Jabari Smith, former top 3 pick. Reed Shepherd, former top 3 pick. Bro, you guys can't be this bad, man. Like, and I'm not even trying to diss or be dramatic. It's just the reality. I watched you guys all year. And to have the performance you guys had against the Lakers with no Luka, just no pass offense, taking dumb shots. There was a play I remember there was a play in the fourth quarter. The Rockets are making somewhat of a comeback, getting momentum. And Luke, I don't know how, but Luke Kennard, who was already 100% from three, 4 for 4, he gets it at the top of the key or top of the 3-point line, and nobody runs out to him. And I see Şengün's hands go up like this. And guess what Luke Kennard does? He hits a three, and all the Rockets' momentum goes away. Just like, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, the way you guys played. Yeah, I don't even know what more I can say about this team. On the Lakers side, though, I mean, they played well. They shot, I think, 60% from the field, over 50% from three. LeBron had 13 assists. Also, if you know me, you know that I am a lifelong LeBron James hater. And, that's just the reality. If we do a rankings, all my friends know this. If we do a ranking of top LeBron James haters, it's Skip Bayless number 1, it's me number 2. And a lot of that just comes from me being a kid. Like I said, I liked KD growing up. KD and LeBron, 2 best players in the NBA. So anytime LeBron had success, it was bad for KD, or at least that's how I thought. So I just always rooted against LeBron. But I feel like there has to be a statute of limitations when it comes to hating. or at least for sports. Bro, when a guy does it for this long, it's just like, all right, you just have to put your hands up and you be like, all right, you got it. Like, dude's still hooping like this with his son, and like his son is on the team. I don't. Shout out to LeBron though. Lakers played well. Hey, to the Lakers, if you could do me and the rest of Rockets fans a favor, just put us out of our misery. Luca or no Luca, KD or no KD, just put us out of our misery. I'm tired of rooting for this team. It takes way too much energy. So please, LeBron, Luke Kennard, keep doing what you're doing. Rui, yep. Even DeAndre Ayton had a double double, bro. All right, let me get off this game. Felt good to get that off my chest, though. All right, third game of the weekend that we are going to cover has to be, well, it doesn't have to be, but the only upset of the weekend, which was between the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons. Final score for this one. Orlando 112, Detroit 101. Detroit being the 1 seed in the East, Orlando being an 8th seed in the East. Yeah, this was a tough one. If you're a Pistons fan, this is what you were afraid of. Cade had an amazing game, 39 points. Looked good, even coming off the collapsed lung. Looked like how he did all season, which is a top tier MVP candidate. But as a Pistons fan, and I'm not a Pistons fan, by the way, I did pick them to go to the finals, though. And that's not looking the greatest right now. But if you're a fan of the Pistons, or if you pick them to go to the finals like me or make a deep run, this is what you're worried about. Cade, great game. And then pretty much a zero from everybody else. Tobias Harris had 17 points, but it's probably the most meaningless 17 points you'll ever see in an NBA playoff game, which is pretty on brand for Tobias Harris. That was a little mean, but it's the reality. Jalen Duren, you were an all-star this year, had a breakout year, contender for most improved player. What did you have? You had 8 points, 7 rebounds? Dog, you are a double-double machine. So it looked bad from the jump for the Pistons. They came out very lethargic and slow, and it looked like a team that's been out for a week. Meanwhile, the Magic, who I thought they were going to lose to the Hornets. I didn't even think they were going to make the playoffs. But they somehow made it off a disappointing year. They made the playoffs. They played Friday night. So Pistons are by far the more well-rested team. And the Magic just came out hot. Jalen Suggs was all over the place. He's hitting threes, steals, just impacting the game defensively like he does. Paolo came out strong. And it was a good showing overall by the Magic. Every starter had above 15 points. Even Franz, he was even though he didn't start off that well, still coming off an injury, he was their leader in the fourth quarter. He bullied everyone that Detroit put on him. So it was a good showing for the Magic. For Detroit, I think what was exposed for them, at least, besides the fact that nobody on the team stepped up except for Cade, was the fact that their half-court offense was awful. Like, they really couldn't get anything going in the half-court unless it was, like, Cade getting to the rim. But even the pick and roll with him and Jalen Duren, Duren gets probably 2 lobs a game at least um, off that pick and roll. That wasn't working. The only thing that really worked for the Pistons is that when they got into transition, when they got transition points, when they got easy points, that's when they looked like the number 1 seed. But this is the playoffs, and that's not going to happen as much. I think what surprised me the most, and the reason I did pick the Pistons, because I thought their defense was elite all year. They just got after it. Ron Holland coming off the bench. Asar Thompson is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Isaiah Stewart coming off the bench. Jalen Duren. Like, these guys are tough players. And I didn't think Orlando could match that physicality. I didn't think that they would be able to score as easily as they did on this defense. And, they did. And that's how the Magic came out with the W. The Pistons really got to look at themselves in the mirror before game 2 if they want to win this series and not be upsetted as a 1 seed, which would be tough. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that game. We'll see what happens in game 2. The 4th game I want to talk about was probably the best game, not yesterday or not Sunday, but Saturday, and that was between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Final score for that one, Denver wins 116-105. Now, this is the series I thought was going to be the best series of the first round when you consider all things, the history of the two teams they played. Now, this is their 3rd time in the last 4 years going up against each other in the playoffs. The talent, obviously, with Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, who's, one of the most entertaining players in the NBA, one of the best players in the NBA. So you have Anthony Edwards, you have Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert. Yeah, the Timberwolves got talent. And then when you look at Denver's side, obviously Jokic, who is arguably the best player in the NBA. Jamal Murray coming off his best year in the league, averaging over 25. Aaron Gordon's healthy. Christian Brown's healthy. So I was like, this is going to be a great series. They had great series in the past. And this was my main takeaway from that game. Minnesota's offense is just way too inconsistent. They came out first quarter, moving the ball, getting out in transition, attacking Jokic in the pick and roll. And when they did that, they found success. I think they were up by 10 at the end of the first quarter, or at least they had a 10-point lead. But their offense just has too many spurts within a game where it becomes stagnant. A lot of Anthony Edwards dribbling at the top, and while 5 defenders are looking at him. So, and Denver is not a good team, by the way. Or I should not good. They're not a good defensive team. I think they were ranked 21st in defensive efficiency or defensive rating this year. Their 2 best players, Jokic and Murray, are not good defenders whatsoever. So you can score on the Nuggets, but when you're doing ISOs and you're doing a no pass offense or 1 pass offense, it's easy to defend. And that's what happened in Minnesota. It was a tie game at halftime, 52-52 or 62-62. But in the third quarter, there was in the middle of the third quarter, 3 or 4 minute stretch where the Timberwolves did not score at all. Nuggets went on a 12-0 run, 13-0 run. And a lot, like I said, a lot of it was Anthony Edwards dribbling at the top. And he can do that. I mean, Anthony Edwards is great, and he can get by any defender that's in front of him. But right now, he's obviously not 100% with his knee injury. And it's just harder when guys are collapsing on you and focused all on you. Like you got to swing the rock. And I think that's the difference between him and a guy like Shea is when all five guys are looking at Shea on offense, he still figures out a way to make the right pass. Um, just making the right play for his teammates, not forcing the issue. And I feel like that's why Shea is at the level where he's at, and Anthony Edwards is just a level below. Um, so yeah, I think it's the IQ part for Anthony Edwards that really needs to improve if he wants his team to have more success. So yeah, it's just Minnesota's offense isn't the greatest at times, and that's why I feel like they lost this game. Even though they made a comeback in the fourth quarter, cut the lead down to 5, but a few bad shots, a few turnovers. You just can't do that to the Nuggets. For Denver, Jokic and Murray were great like usual. I think Jamal Murray shot 17 free throws, which is, I mean, Jamal Murray's an aggressive player, but 17 free throws is crazy. Jokic didn't even have his best game, but it's still, a 25-point triple-double, 20-point triple-double. So the Nuggets are good. I don't think they're good enough to win the championship just because I don't trust their defense. But they should win this series because Minnesota clearly doesn't know how to attack them properly, or at least consistently over the course of a 48-minute game. But we'll see. This game was cool, but I know they're probably going to have better ones, and we'll see how it goes. Game 2. Game 2, I think, is on Tuesday. Tuesday or today. Might be today, actually. I don't know. I have to check. All right. That's half of the games. The second half, not the most entertaining. We have a few blowouts. So who do I want to go with next? Let's talk Boston, Philly. Now, Boston won this game 123-91, blowout, just complete beatdown. Obviously, Philadelphia doesn't have Joel Embiid, and it showed in this one. But what I will say is this. Although the final score looks like this, Philly didn't play like that bad. In the first quarter, they got a bunch of great shots, a bunch of open shots, and they just couldn't shoot. They couldn't hit shots. I think even Tyrese Maxey said it after the first quarter in an interview. He was like, "Yeah, we're getting good shots. We're just not able to make them." And on the other hand, they couldn't stop Boston. Boston was getting to the rim. Nemias Queta was getting to the rim in pick and rolls, easy dunks. Jaylen Brown getting to the rim easily. Tatum, wow, what a first quarter for him. I think it was 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, dude is coming off. It hasn't even been a year since his Achilles surgery, and he looks like a top 10 player in the NBA still. So that was really impressive, but this game wasn't as lopsided as the score would indicate. Philly just couldn't make shots. They got good looks. And even with that, I think they were down by 15, 20 points at halftime. And coming out of the half, they played. I'm talking about the Sixers. They played well, but they just couldn't. Oh, actually, this is what I wanted to talk about. There was a play. Philly was getting momentum. They cut the lead down to 14. They were playing good defense. Paul George had had a great defensive stop against Jaylen Brown. And then Andre Drummond gets the rebound, about to go for a fast break, passes it to Tyrese Maxey, but it gets picked off. And that led to a Sam Hauser three, I think, or a Jaylen Brown three. And after that, the Celtics hit another three. So what could have been a run for Philadelphia became a run for Boston. And it was because of that one turnover by Andre Drummond. So that's what the playoffs is. It's all about momentum. That's what basketball is. It's all about momentum, and it can swing like that. And that's what happened in that game. Without Embiid, Philly just doesn't have a chance. You could tell in this game when the shots weren't falling, when the 3-point shots weren't falling, they needed someone to get easy baskets, and that's where Joel Embiid thrives, and they couldn't do that. So without him, this is probably going to be a quick series. I thought the Sixers could get at least one game, and maybe they can in Philly. And if Embiid comes back, then maybe the series goes a little bit further. But I don't know, the way Boston's playing right now, the way their offense is clicking right now, how good Jason Tatum looks. Jaylen Brown had like 16 points in the third quarter. It's just too much for Philly's defense to handle. So yeah, this is looking like a quick series. And so is the next one, which is OKC and Phoenix. I really don't have that much to say about this series. OKC won the game 119-84. And the only note I have about this is it's a complete mismatch. It's not fair. Phoenix had a really good season. A lot of people didn't have them making the playoffs, but they did, even with losing KD. I really like the job Jordan Ott did for this team, but no. Oklahoma City is a different animal. I said earlier I picked them to win again. I think they're going to repeat as champions. And this is just, I said earlier that the Boston Philly game was closer than what the score indicated. This one was worse than the score indicated. And it's just Devin Booker, Jalen Green, these guys can score the ball, but Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, these are the worst type of defenders that the Phoenix guards can go against. And it kind of makes me mad. Because if the series is going to go like this, we might as well have had Steph Curry and the Warriors play. I know Phoenix beat them in the playing game. The Warriors were not really a decent team all year, but if we're going to have a blowout in this series, I would have much rather it at least have a few Steph Curry moments, threes. I think they would have put up more of a fight. So, yeah, this series is going to be over quick. I think Oklahoma City sweeps them. And yeah, just a really boring game. Shea didn't even play well. I think he finished with 25 points, but shot like close to 30% from the field. I thought Chet was really good on defense. Jalen Williams had a really good second half. But yeah, this one is wraps. We could just pencil in Oklahoma City for the second round. We just, according to the rules, we still have to play 3 more games. So I guess I have to watch. And yeah, how many more series do we have left? Houston. Oh, one game I should have talked about earlier, but I didn't, which is my apologies. New York versus Atlanta, which is another series besides Denver, Minnesota, that I thought was going to be the best series of this first round. And the game was pretty good. It was decent. New York won the game 113-102. And the biggest takeaway for me for this one, the Knicks just have talent that the Hawks don't. Um, the Knicks all-star showed up and the Hawks didn't. Jalen Brunson started off the game, fire coming out of his ears, had 19 points in the first quarter, was doing it on every level, scoring from three, hitting mid-range, getting to the basket. And Dyson Daniels is a defender who Jalen Brunson has had trouble with in the past, but I don't know. Yes, or Saturday's game, Jalen Brunson just looked at Dyson Daniels as food, and he cooked him in that first quarter, which helped the Knicks get out to a good lead. Second half, Jalen Brunson didn't do as much, but he didn't need to because Karl Anthony Towns stepped up, had 11 points in the fourth quarter, hit threes, had a big N1. So if New York's two best players are going to do that consistently, I don't see why they can't beat Boston. It would be a good series. They beat them last year. I know people already have Boston penciled in for the second or for the conference finals and even the finals, but I like the way the Knicks looked. Mikal Bridges had a decent game. OG was in and out, twisted his ankle, so he was a bit compromised. But I liked how the Knicks played. Atlanta, on the other hand, I was a bit disappointed. I thought they would put up a little bit more of a fight. CJ McCollum played well in the first half. He was their catalyst on offense, which is good for Atlanta. But the key for them, and even though Jalen Johnson is their all-star and he did have a decent game, the key for Atlanta is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's probably going to win Most Improved Player this year, and I just didn't feel his presence as much as I feel needs to be, at least for this game. Nickeil, he needs to at least average 20 to 25 points for the Hawks to have a chance. As good as CJ McCollum was, the Hawks are the team that we saw for the last month and a half of the season post All-Star break, when Nickeil Alexander-Walker is playing with confidence, hitting threes, just playing with energy, transferring that energy to the defensive end. He's the key for that team. And I know the box score said he finished with 17 points, but a lot of that came when the game was already out of reach. He's got to impact the game from the jump in order for the Hawks to have a chance. I think he will. It was just not a really good game one, but I think he'll bounce back. Jalen Johnson was good. Wasn't great. I think Josh Hart did a decent job on him for the most part. And for Jalen Johnson, I know he's an all-NBA caliber player, but if he wants to take his game to the next level and for the Hawks to, be real Eastern Conference contenders for the foreseeable future, his off the dribble game got to be a little bit better. His pull up jumper game got to get a little bit better. And I feel like it can. He's improved every year, but I think it's just easy to guard him. He's good in transition. He rebounds the ball. He play makes, but you're just not afraid of him as a scorer if you're the other team. And if he wants the Hawks to keep improving as a team, he's gotta work on those things. But this game was good. The Knicks led for the most part. The Hawks gave them a little scare in the fourth quarter, but not enough to pull out the victory, and I still think it's going to be a long series. I think it's going to go at least 6, maybe 7. But yeah, I think the Knicks just have too much for the Hawks to beat them. At least for this series. We'll see in the future, but this series, I don't think the Hawks are ready. But I could be wrong. And the last game that we're gonna talk about, or that I'm going to give you my reaction to, was the first game of the weekend, and that was between the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The basketball in this game wasn't the greatest. I know a lot of you are obviously Raptors fans. And they're gonna be like, "Yo, why are you going with the Raptors last? Why are you talking?" That's just how I feel about the game. I didn't think it was that interesting. First quarter, Jakob Pertl just got put in every single pick and roll with James Harden and Jared Allen. It was a little bit uncomfortable to watch how many times he was getting cooked on that pick and roll, how many dunks and opportunities at the rim that Jared Allen had. So Toronto definitely needs to make an adjustment there. Probably got to play Colin Murray Boyles a bit more. But and the Raptors are good, but they're not good enough to beat Cleveland. It's Brandon Ingram is a good scorer. Scotty Barnes is a good all around player. But Donovan Mitchell, top 10, top 15 player in the NBA. James Harden is still one of the best playmakers in the NBA. It's just too much for the Raptors to handle on defense, even though their defense is really good. Mitchell can get to the rim whenever he wants. He shoots the lights out. It's going to be tough for Toronto. That's what I'll say. But it was close at halftime. I think the Cavs only had a 7-point lead, but in that third quarter, the Cavaliers went on like an 11-0 run, something like that. Raptors just couldn't score. And that's what it's going to look like probably for the rest of the series. Just Toronto's offense isn't that potent. Even with Brandon Ingram hitting shots, it's just not enough. Without Emmanuel Quickly being that initiator for them, I just don't think the Raptors have it. But we'll see. Hopefully they get a few games in Toronto. I'll be rooting for them, obviously, hometown team. But Cleveland just got too much. Even though I don't believe in the Cavs like that, I think they'll lose in the second round. They're on a different level than the Raptors, I'll say. But yeah, I think that covers every series. Went a bit longer than I expected, but you know, like I said, I had a lot of thoughts on the games that I watched. If you made it this far into the podcast, you're a real one. Like I said at the top, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I'm thinking of dropping in the next episode. Most likely Friday. I want to do at least 2 episodes a week, and then eventually get up to 3. But for now, 2 episodes a week. I'll probably be just reacting to the rest of the games that go on this week. We'll see. Maybe I'll do like a top 10 list or something like that. Just a gimmick, just to keep you guys entertained. But yeah, that's episode 1 in the books for Noel's podcast. Again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be on the lookout for episode 2. Turn on your notifications. Like I said, subscribe. Make sure you're in the loop. And yeah, this was fun. Only more to come. And I promise you, it's going to get better. It's only episode 1, so have a little bit of grace for me. But yeah, it's going to get better. Um, and yeah, so I'll holla at y'all. Enjoy your week. And I'll see you when I see you.